and welcome to Women in Workforce. I'm Carrie Rosingana, and I'm the CEO of Capital Area Michigan Works. I'll be your host today as we bring together women in positions of leadership to help shine a spotlight on all of their workforce impacts, while also addressing and also discussing the challenges and the disparities that are unique to women in the workforce.
I'm Kate Snyder. I'm the CEO and founder at Piper & Gold Public Relations, and I get to join Carrie each episode as her co-host. We're both so excited to be back hosting and to be able to create this platform for discussion and for inspiration, and also for us to be able to just be real about the unique disparities that women face professionally. So each episode, we do host a roundtable style discussion with fellow community leaders.
And today we're at Risky Studios in East Lansing, Michigan, and we're really grateful that you've chosen to spend some time with us today.
So let's do this. Are you ready?
We are ready.
When amazing female leaders get together, just going through our intros and bios could be a whole episode in and of itself, which is why we want to have you introduce yourselves by summing up your bio in one sentence.
But really importantly, we want to make sure that we're normalizing and humanizing that we're leaders, but we're humans too, right? So we're asking each of you to go behind the bio, if you'd like to, and tell us what you want people to know about you professionally and maybe a little bit what's behind the scenes. So I'll give an example. You all know my title. I just said it. But behind the bio, I am a mom, I am a daughter, I am a spouse, and I am somebody who has a really, really silly French bulldog who I adore and who helps to lighten a challenging day when I need a good laugh. So that's a little bit behind my bio to humanize me.
And behind my bio is I struggle hard with what's behind my bio, which is, I guess, I don't know, my professional bio and my behind the bio are kind of the same. But I guess I'll say behind my bio, I do it at work too, but at home it's a lot more fun, is I'm one of those people that goes on really random, weird, super deep tangents for periods of time where I want to learn absolutely everything about a super obscure thing. So when certain categories come up on Jeopardy, I can own it. So Everest, or weird stuff like Everest. Ocelots were a thing for a while. They're very cool and water resistant. And basically throw out a super weird random thing, and I will be like, yes. Oh, the Cuban Missile Crisis. I was fascinated by that for a significant period of time. So that's my behind the bio. Every now and again, a Jeopardy category about Imperial China will pop up, and I will own that thing.
That is amazing.
So I get to be the first to introduce our first guest. And first up, I get to welcome my friend, Jennifer Llewellyn, the Manager of Workforce Development and Director at Oakland County, Michigan Works. Jen, you get to be the first one to share a little bit about your one-sentence bio and anything you'd like to share about what's behind your bio.
Gosh, no pressure. Well, thank you, Carrie, for having me today. It's exciting to be here. Behind the bio, my husband, Darren, and I have been married for 25 years. We celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary this year. That was huge.
It is huge.
We always say we haven't killed each other yet, so that's a huge accomplishment, right?
Cheers.
2 kids. My son, Gavin, is in his senior year at University of Michigan, Dearborn. My daughter's a senior in high school, and they're incredibly funny and crazy and fill my life with joy and laughter. I'm a friend, I think. I have a huge circle of friends, and I'm a workforce development queen.
Yes,
I love
you
all
are.
things workforce development.
Yes, you
It's
are.
my passion and my joy. That was more than one sentence, but
That's okay.
that's
All
me in
of
a
us have done
nutshell.
it.
That was a really long sentence.
It's okay. Run-ons are kind of how we
Yes.
roll around here.
It's so true.
Okay, well, next up, I'm pleased to get to introduce you to Brandy Johnson, the president of the Michigan Community College Association. We've had the privilege of getting to kind of like circle one another for many years now, working in workforce and talent and education and all that kind of stuff, and someone that I really respect and admire, and also have FOMO that a lot of folks that I know are like BFFs with you and are always like hanging out, and I'm like, oh, I want to be BFFs. Brandy, can you share your one sentence bio and then what's behind that bio?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Well, if Jennifer is the workforce development queen, then I guess I'll just say I am a higher education queen.
Yes.
My one sentence bio would be I'm a fierce advocate for post-secondary educational attainment, and have been an advocate wearing various hats. Now I have the privilege of advocating and representing Michigan's two-year colleges across the state, which is a real pleasure. Behind the bio, I'm also a mom. I have two young kids. My son Kirby is 9 and my daughter Robin Jane is 7. I am a hopelessly addicted to fantasy football. And it's like a probably unhealthy amount of time I spent working on fantasy football, and equally as unhealthy, I'm also pretty addicted to reality television. It is my guilty pleasure, my escape, and so that's a little bit about me that maybe you wouldn't know.
Okay, so I have to ask, what's your reality TV go-to?
So I'm a big Bravo fan. So there's very few Bravo shows that I don't watch.
Are you a Real Housewife?
I sure am. If only there was the Real Housewives of East Lansing.
Of Michigan. We could all be all.
Yes. And then I really like. I'm a very deeply competitive person. Maybe that explains like the fantasy football of it all. And so I also like to watch competition shows. So I like Top Chef and Survivor and Amazing Race and shows like that.
You could have some viewing nights together.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I secretly believe that I can do anything. Not so secretly, I guess, among my friends. Like there's a joke that I genuinely believe that with YouTube and a few key supplies, I could remove an appendix. And like this is a thing.
I kind of felt that way during the Olympics.
Oh
like,
yeah.
When I was watching the Olympics, I was like, I could try that.
Big Olympic fan. And so I watch reality TV shows and I'm like, well, I could do that. Now, would I want to? I'm good. Like Survivor's one that I watched, but I'm like, no, I prefer not to. But I genuinely believe that I could do that. I could 100% do that. It is all false and rooted in no form.
Yeah.
It's not self-confidence. I think it's blind. I think it's ignorance. But I don't know why. In my head, I'm just like, yeah, I could do that. When I was on my Everest kick, people were like, so do you want to like climb Everest? I was like, oh, no, absolutely not. Do you know the death rate of Everest and the deadly stay on the mountain was this, but could I? Sure. Yeah, I could do that.
I need the food. That's my challenge on all of them. I watch all the shows. I was like, I could do Survivor, but I'm so hungry.
I don't know. Or it's a lot of running and exercise.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Food.
Food.
Yeah. I don't think I could sleep outside.
See, now they go like to the same destinations over and over. So you just got to learn about like the different flora and fauna in the region that you could eat. I sit there and couch judge people so bad. I'm like, do you not know that you can dig up that taro root? Or do you not understand how much food is actually around you? As if I would get out there and within 15 minutes not be like, 8 mosquitoes bit me. I'd like to go home now. But like, I'm all over here like, yeah, don't they know that they can just fry that up or that that's edible and blah. Like, who goes out there without researching survival tactics?
So I think we've gone down the rabbit hole of reality TV. Then it sounds like we all share that.
Great. Yes.
It's such an escapist thing, though. I think that like when all day long you are dealing with like really big, like all of us in our jobs deal with big societal issues. Like we deal with systemic things. We deal with things that are rooted in injustices and disparities. And so I think when you do that all day, when you are done,
Your brain needs a break.
you
does.
don't want
You don't
to
have to
watch.
think.
Yeah, you don't have to
I
think.
Something
don't
mindless.
watch dramas,
Yeah.
right? I don't read Jodi Picoult books because I want dragons or like Survivor. I don't want, I live in the real world. And frankly, I have to deal with the real world and I have to academically study the shitty parts of the real world to be able to do my job effectively, you know, counter my own biases. So when I can go home and watch The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives
excellent.
or
Excellent show.
I've not
currently
seen that
I
one in
haven't
very
Virginia.
good.
either. I haven't
Oh.
either.
Very good.
currently watching the UK Love is Blind, which is just delightful. Like
There's a
I
lot
just
to
want to
choose
be
from.
able to turn it, I want to turn my brain off and recognize like whether this is real or not. I don't care. I just need to
To not
not
think,
be
yeah.
in the real
Decompress,
world
yeah.
for a while.
decompress is not
Yeah.
decompress.
And that, God, what a privilege to be able to step out of the real world, because so many people don't get that.
Yep.
Oh, hey, guess what? It's my segment. We just made up our own segment called "What Do You Learn from Reality TV?" But instead, now we're gonna move on to an actual segment from our show with
Ooh.
our vase of knowledge.
Nice.
The face of
Base of knowledge.
Originally, we wrote the scripts like it was going to be a hat, and then I couldn't find an appropriate hat to pull things out of, and was like, oh, it's going to be a
Detroit Lions
vase.
hat.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Oh.
just
An easy.
I don't know.
So we went with the vase of knowledge.
So we have
The vase of
The
knowledge.
so we have some questions in
much
here. That all, you know, focus on like careers, workforce, all that kind of stuff. But realistically, we have already learned that we will get through -1 questions. So we're just going to pull out one and talk about it. So today's question is going to be,
What looks long?
Focus.
oh, magic. If you could wave a magic wand to reduce gender disparities in the workforce, what would you change? If you could wave magic wand and reduce
Start with the heavy questions, right?
gender disparities in the
That's what the
workforce,
vase said we had to answer.
what would you change? Dragons. No.
Oh.
So,
Any immediate thoughts?
So one thing I would change, I think, is if I had a magic wand, and I'm sure a lot of people have thoughts about paid parental leave
Oh, yeah.
and maternity leave. And I wish it was way more normalized, that it's really an expectation that dads in particular take paternity leave in a way that forces them to step back from their career in a way that women don't. I had 2 kids, and I took maternity leave for both of them. And there was a sacrifice I made professionally when I did that. And I wish it was just more of a sort of, not a novelty, but a
Right,
thing
right,
that
right.
like maybe I take 12 weeks off, but then the next 12 weeks my husband would have taken
Yeah.
off. I also think it would be a real reality check for our partners to see what it's like to be at home with an infant by themselves for a couple of months. I think that would be really helpful. So that's maybe
a good
one
one.
thing
That
I
is
would
really good.
wave a magic wand. And if it was just like not a thing, like it was just an expectation that that's how you did it. You could also save a bunch of money on childcare costs.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
My first instinct was the wage disparity,
Oh yeah.
but I feel like that's really obvious. I think the magic wand that I would wave and hope to see would be more women in critical leadership roles, decision-making roles, board roles, CEO roles, and be able to shift things from the highest level so that policies like what Brandy's talking about become normalized, because that the wage disparities, I think if we can get into some of those decision-making rooms and more seats around the board table, I think those types of life-changing opportunities for women in particular would be impacted.
I love both of those. I think they're both really spot on for things. I would wave my magic wand. I immediately went to wage as well, Jen, but I do think wage comes along with if you have more opportunities for those higher level positions in government and in policymakers. And I think they're both really, what you both mentioned certainly resonates with me, that's for sure.
Dragons. No. I mean, if I could truly have a magic wand and change anything, I think I would make it so that everybody just automatically assumes that people of equal experience and education are equally capable. Mm-hmm. Like, honestly, that we could, the respect that just everyone, regardless of genders, had the same amount of respect and believed people of equivalent skill were equally capable. That sounds kind of weird, but
no, I hear
men
what you're
and
saying.
women,
yeah,
because so often we don't value ourselves, or we face imposter syndrome, or we face the dream gap, or we face not imposter syndrome, but just a lifetime of being, death by 1,000 paper cuts, told that we're not capable, so we don't think we're capable. So it's not just a perception shift from the male perspective, but also from the female perspective, that we could all just look at each other and be like, yeah, we're all equally capable. We all deserve the same amount of respect. That seems magic wand worthy.
I think the other one I would think about too, sitting here a little bit longer and thinking through, is the labeling that sometimes women have put on us when we ask questions or we speak up, and we're labeled as being difficult or aggressive or a know-it-all. Like those are labels that we get assigned to us. Do our male counterparts get those labels assigned to them? Probably far less likely, I would have to imagine. So magic wand to stop putting those labels on women, because sometimes that can make people want to be quiet, and we shouldn't. So that would be my magic wand.
Or the intern. I was new in this role, maybe on the job a few months, and walked into a meeting with some state officials, and the gentleman asked me to get a coffee for him while he waited for the director.
God.
And we've all got one of those stories, don't we?
Cream or sugar. Grabbed the coffee, came back in, placed it down, and said, "Hi, I'm Jennifer Llewellyn, the director here." And he said, "Oh, I thought you were the intern."
I love that you got the coffee and then introduced yourself. Like, the low-key shade of that is just so...
I stewed on it a bit while I was pouring that coffee.
Yeah,
stewed on
but
it a little bit.
It's just like so much more poignant to set the coffee down. And then that's a sick burn.
Yeah, it felt good.
I
bet. Felt good, I won't lie.
I bet.
I
would
in that moment it felt good, but it did
head.
Feel good later, though, right?
No,
that was disappointing later to be in that situation unnecessarily, right? Like, did he not do his research before arriving for the meeting, or to make that level of assumption based on gender, age, whatever lens that he was looking at that through? But disappointing, and that I've many examples, but that just came to mind.
And that one is heartbreaking because, you know, that's not that long ago, probably.
8 years ago.
Right,
Yeah, 8 years
exactly.
ago.
So that shows how much work there still is to be done with those assumptions and those biases that we all know are real and alive in many workplaces. So that's why we need more women in leadership roles.
I'm so I represent Michigan's 31 two-year colleges. Michigan's a really unique state in that we don't have any sort of system of higher education or a state department that, you know, the colleges report up to. And that's true for the public universities as well. We have 15 public universities, 28 public community colleges, a bunch of independent colleges, 3 tribal colleges. And in absence of that state system, the associations play really an outsized role in policy development as it relates to higher ed. I have 2 counterparts named Dan and Robert, you know, not particularly surprising, but my counterpart for the state universities, Dan Hurley, and I have a counterpart that represents the independent colleges named Robert Lefevre, both of whom I get along with very well. But I was hired in late 2021, so only not even 3 years ago, and I am the first female to ever have held a leadership role at a higher ed association. And all 3 of these associations were founded in the 1960s.
Oh my gosh.
And so they've never, the sort of, you know, the chief voice of higher education, Michigan, had never been held by a woman before until December of 2021.
Look at you.
It's wild. I mean, it's
It
wild.
is wild.
It's
It is
sad,
wild,
but like
it's
wild. And to your point, and I was also the youngest ever hired, and so I also think that particularly when you're a younger CEO, it is like this double whammy when you're a young female CEO.
Couldn't agree more.
And yet you had already held multiple significant leadership positions within your industry. Like you may have been quote unquote the youngest, but you were youth didn't mean inexperienced by any means.
I had founded my own nonprofit organization called the Michigan College Access Network when I was 27. And I had been a education policy advisor to 2 different governors. And so yeah.
It's not like they were giving the young gal a chance to prove herself here.
I was asking a woman when I was applying for this position, I was asking for advice on interviewing and how I should present myself and like my cover letter, etc. And she said to me, and it's like really good advice. She said, Brandy, there is just no doubt that you are the most qualified person that the association could hire. Period. End of story. You are the most qualified, and you still might not get the job. And it actually was framed it. I went in with that energy that I was the most, that it wasn't a reach for me, that it wasn't a stretch for me. I walked into the interview, perhaps one of the most intimidating experiences of my life. I report to a massively huge board. So there are 56 members on the MCCA board of directors, and I did the interview with the full board. So it was 1 on 56. So super intimidating. And so I could have easily been, if I didn't bring that sort of confidence that I absolutely was qualified. I had been a CEO. I'm, one of the top policy experts in higher education in Michigan, that I had great government relations experience, which was it is a huge part of the job. But I went into it and I was super confident in the interview. And at the end, I could say to myself, I know I'm the most qualified. Right. They might still go with a different candidate for whatever reason. And that's okay.
That's such incredible advice.
Yeah.
Really for any job seeker. I'm putting my workforce development hat or crown on now, right? About just going in and owning it and knowing it and when you feel that yourself and you can portray that to others.
Yeah, that's right.
Jen, though, when you went into your role too, I mean, historically, the table that we are at has historically been males who were in directors or CEO roles too. And even when I was hired in 2020, when I came in, I mean, it was still more men than it was women. And you have been one of those leaders at the table as a woman. And I think it does change the dynamic to have, you know, you look through things with a different lens sometimes. And now to see, you know, here we sit in 2024, and it is mostly women now who are around the table. In a 4-year period, to see this shift, it's been really fascinating and also really encouraging.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm really proud of the Michigan work system for. You know, to your point, this is my 26th year working in the Michigan work system and 8 years in this role. And, you know, early on, all of the directors of the workforce areas across the state were male. And I didn't see, you know, to the point earlier, didn't see a lot of women in leadership roles across the system. Now, the workforce development world in general is female dominated, right? A lot of the career advisors and career planners and case managers are female, but we weren't seeing that in the leadership positions. And I think, I haven't counted, so I'm just guessing quickly, there's 16 Michigan Works directors. I think nine or maybe 10 are females, and that is exciting to see.
That is so encouraging and exciting, and I am really sad to say that we have had the opposite experience among community college presidents, which baffles me. When I started, so there's 28 public community colleges in Michigan, and when I started, 7 of the 28 were led by females. So you think like, 25%, like not great. Today, as we sit here, there are 2 permanent female presidents. We have 1 interim who's a female, but unclear if she'll become the permanent. So Rose Belanca at Washtenaw Community College is one of the longest serving presidents that we have. And we have a new president at Bay Denot Community College in Escanaba, Michigan, Dr. Narita Hughes. And so I have found I'm stuck on that. That's really, that's a real hard pill to swallow. And I report to these presidents, and there aren't many that look like me.
Even in the public relations industry, we see that a lot. You know, I work with a lot of clients in the workforce, talent, higher ed, government spaces, but in our core industry, we have that very disproportionate share of entry level up through mid-management that is female. And yet when you look at CMO, CIO, you know, public information officers, and more so in agency, partners, presidents, CEOs, and other agency leadership, that is all still disproportionately male. And then we have that power dynamic of the, you know, those working and really producing a lot of the work are still very heavily skewed female. And that glass ceiling gap of getting from working your way up into senior management is still massively difficult to make that jump. And it's disheartening when you see it. And now the generation of female trailblazers that, you know, moved into agency leadership roles that I've, you know, looked up to, a lot of them have reached the points where they're looking toward legacy planning and retirement and things like that. And they're finding that it's very difficult to find other female leaders who want to take on those positions. And so now a lot of them are being filled with male candidates. And so we're sliding even further backward in our industry. And gender equity at the entry level of our industry is a huge problem, right? Like, it's not great that it's all, disproportionately young white women that go into PR. That's not ideal. We want that, gender diversity, racial diversity, sexual identity, sexual orientation, geographic, all the different, right, disability, all the different factors of diversity, especially when we're about building relationships, helping people understand things they didn't understand. We need different perspectives. And we're a bunch of, present company included, like we're a bunch of white ladies up until a bunch of primarily white men. And it's a issue that for decades our industry has been struggling to address. And you go to the conferences and it doesn't look a lot different. It
matters so
better.
much. In this role, I play a dual role. I'm also the manager of workforce development for Oakland County. And under the director of our awesome county executive, Dave Coulter, he's brought on just an incredible group of female deputy county executives. Deputy County Executive Madiha Tariq, who oversees our health and human services, Deputy County Executive April Lynch, who oversees human resources and facilities. And we have a new Deputy County Executive, Megan Sellers, who's over communications and government relations, and who really trailblazed the way for us was our Chief Deputy County Executive, the first female in the role, Hillary Chambers, who is still a dear friend and an incredible advocate for workforce development and post-secondary education. And, those women in those leadership roles under Dave's great leadership have, I think, created a new culture for us at the county where we see women in these decision-making roles. We feel seen. Under Hillary's leadership, created a Women for Women group of women employees from across the county,
Awesome.
just doing some great work together, sharing some of these pain points and stories, and just feeling seen and heard on some of those challenges that we encounter in the workplace. It's been really, really empowering. So I'm feeling optimistic, right? I've seen the shift through the Michigan Works leadership role. I've seen the shift through Oakland County, and being in the hub of that does give me hope for my daughter and for, all of our daughters and sons too.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to transition into our next segment, which actually ties a lot to what you have already mentioned. So have you ever heard the phrase, look at the facts and not feelings in leadership? Or if you go to therapy, sometimes your therapist will tell you that. So we want to talk, though, about facts and feelings. So I'm going to share some related facts and ask for you to share how these facts make you feel. So facts and feelings. So you ready?
We're ready.
Okay. According to the state of Michigan's statewide workforce plan, Michigan is experiencing a significant increase in high-wage job opportunities. However, at the same time, Michigan's workforce and demographic shifts have increased the demand for essential occupations, such as healthcare and childcare, that require skilled professions. As of 2022, approximately 66% of women had some sort or level of post-secondary education, while only 62% of Michigan had the same. The student population here in Lansing in 2022 is skewed towards women, with 4,401 male students and 5,736 female students, and that's according to Data USA for Lansing, Michigan. What are your immediate reactions to hearing these facts?
Yeah, well, I would just confirm them that females are overrepresented in higher education. So, basically within the last 20 years, that line graph, the two axes crossed each other. So forever and ever and ever, especially post World War II with men coming home for the war with the GI Bill and able to take advantage of educational benefits. Men had always been more prevalent in higher education settings. And within about the last 20 years, we reached a tipping point where it was roughly the same, around 50-50, and now more females are enrolled at Michigan's higher education institutions, both 2-year and 4-year. And then they complete at higher rates than men at all levels. Yet we see, and maybe, and this is where the feelings come in, yet there are pretty big wage disparities. And, a lot of that has to do with choice of career path. Women often self-select into lower paid occupations like childcare, education related activities, social work, and some healthcare roles, and miss out on some opportunities potentially of having at least higher wages in more leadership roles. So, becoming a doctor instead of a nurse, and going into STEM fields. And so, I think that's where good career counseling comes in. Our data literacy is higher than ever. This is not an assumption. We can look at the data very clearly and see, with this type of degree or certificate, this will set me up for this career, and here's what wages will look like 1 year out, 5 years out, 10 years out, by county, based on which program of study, by institution. The data is available. We have to be, I think, more deliberate in helping students in general, but especially female students, really analyze that data for themselves.
What do you think, Jen?
I have mixed emotions about it. There's one side of me that feels rejuvenated and pleased to see that we're leading the way in post-secondary opportunities for women. That gives me hope. I feel like for many years, women were, well, I'll stay home, not go to school and be a secretary, right? So it does give me some excitement to say, okay, we're enrolling at higher levels, we're completing at higher levels. But it also concerns me in some ways as well around, will our employers make the adjustments necessary that are needed to attract and retain the women in the roles that they need to be, right? This all comes down to what our employers decide, right? We talk a lot about employer-driven workforce development and what are the jobs and where are the opportunities, and will businesses make adjustments? We talked earlier about paid leave time, how flexible work scheduling, what are they doing to make the adjustments that they need to make to attract and retain females in the workforce? So I think that this is a pivotal moment for our businesses. That's a lot of what we spend time doing in workforce development, is not just on the job seeker side, but on the employer side as well. How do we empower them to be an employer of choice? And what type of innovative things are they doing to attract and retain workers? If they're just doing the post and pray, I call it, well, I posted a job and I prayed someone would apply.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work that way. You have to cultivate and grow your own talent. And, if they're not watching this trend around higher levels of enrollment and completion, then they need to be, and they need to be anticipating that for the future.
Yeah. Earlier I had brought up this maternity paternity leave issue, and I think it was the first thing that came to mind for me because it was so personal. I was working at the Michigan College Access Network as its executive director, and in 2017 was pregnant with my daughter, and I had planned to take, like a 12-week maternity leave, something that was like in our handbook, whatever our policy was. And I'm the CEO at this point. I had sort of given my blood, sweat, and tears to the organization for 7 years. And my daughter was born with significant health complications. So when she was born, she ended up being born with a cleft lip and cleft palate, a syndrome called Goldenhar syndrome, where half of her face didn't develop properly. She was missing an ear, which is very rare, and only had hearing on one side. She had a heart defect. The bones in her jaw were really small. It was really shocking to my husband and myself, and it not only was it sort of emotionally shocking that we were going to have to, raise a child that had craniofacial differences, but it was also physically very, very difficult to feed a baby with a cleft lip and palate. It's really impossible. It takes, it would take me 90 minutes to feed her 33 ounces, and around the clock, they aren't able to suck. You can't nurse. It's just a lot of challenges, a lot of doctor's appointments and trips to Ann Arbor. At the C.S. Mott Children's Hospital. It was really, really, really overwhelming. All that said, I, again, was planning to figure it out as moms do, and go back to work, at the stated time. And so I had a board meeting that was scheduled during my maternity leave that I had said to my staff and to my board that I was going to attend. I knew I was on my leave, and I needed to get out of the house, and I was happy to come to a board of directors meeting at that time. And my board knew what was going on. My staff knew what was going on. I'm driving into the office and parking my car in the parking lot, and I get a call from my board chair, and the meeting's about to start in the next 10 minutes. Her name is Charlonda Buckman. She is a leader in Detroit Public Schools Community District. At the time, she was the head of the Detroit Parent Network, and she changed my life. So she said, hey, Brandy, you really don't need to come to this meeting. And I said, I know, I'm parking my car. I'll literally see you. And I assumed she was in the building. I'll literally see you in 60 seconds. And I really want to be here. And she said, no, Brandy, you really don't need to come to this meeting. We actually met at 9 a.m., and it's now 11:30. We scrapped the agenda. We put one item on the agenda, and it was related to your maternity leave. The board just voted unanimously to give, I'm going to cry, to give you a 6-month paid leave of absence. Oh my gosh. Period, no questions asked. I need you to name one person to be thanks.
Wrong on down.
I need you to, the one thing that we figured out we do need you to do, you have to sign something with the bank, the person that can sign checks in your absence. Name a staff person. Ironically, the person I named, I know has been a guest on this show. Now State Senator Sarah Anthony, but at the time was the deputy director of the Michigan College Access Network. And they said, you have given everything to this organization, but now you need to give everything you have to your daughter. And incredible. Talk about a place that I wanted to work. Sure. And talk about a retention strategy for me. And so I did. And I got my daughter through her first couple of surgeries and got her to gain enough weight that so she could, have those surgeries. And it changed my life. And it certainly changed my daughter's life. But now moving forward, I now for sure am a more compassionate boss. So when I have mostly women that work for me at MCCA, and if someone says, something happened to one of their kids, or their mom is sick, or they just need some time off, I am a much, much more compassionate human where I'm able to say, don't even think about work. Don't even give it a second thought. You do you, take care of your family. and it is because I'm a human, and this was like a humanizing experience for me, but also it's a retention strategy. I want the leaders that work for me to know that they are able to, that I'm invested in their personal success, their success at home, and I want them to stay working for me because they're awesome and talented. So
That's incredible.
Is
talk about being seen, right?
Yeah,
like being seen.
Yeah, and
Wow.
changed it, and it's the single best gift I've ever received. As someone who is a workaholic, to be clear, like I love working. Like I am driven by my work and very passionate, and like really do identify as a professional sometimes more often than as a mother, in terms of like where I see myself, and but just the best gift I'd ever received.
And for her to be able to give you that gift and to like stand up and set that precedent and model that behavior for others, for you to take into your career, but then also for those other leaders around like the board table. Like, it's a gift she gave and they gave to you. And frankly, like a gift that you gave to them, to be able to. So often I think we can feel so unappreciated or underappreciated as women in positions of leadership. And I had a little temper tantrum last week because I was feeling very underappreciated, and I was being a little bit of a brat to myself / to my executive team about like not feeling appreciated. And like, you know, you sometimes can get overwhelmed by those little complaints, right? These two people are spatting at each other, or this person's mad about this thing that in the grand scheme of things is like really not inconsequential, or you get snippy because someone asks you a question and you think to yourself like, this is so far down on the list of fucks that I give today. Right. And you don't take that time to put yourself in someone else's shoes. And it's those big moments when you're able to realize like, oh, wow, your actions as a leader matter. And it can literally change someone's life, that you can act, like it grants not only the person whose life has changed perspective, but like it's that perspective granting like gift to the person.
And now you've inspired other leaders to
and you
carry
said
that forward
earlier. So like, you and I are we're all female CEOs, and of course I wish every room of CEOs I walked into were 50% female or more. But it's also these board positions that we don't think about. Absolutely. And so I don't know if, and so while I was at MCAN, I think I had 4 different board chairs, 2 men and 2 women. I had 2 great male board chairs, Greg Handel from the Detroit Regional Chamber, Dan DeGrow, who was a former state senator and was with St. Clair County RISA. Wonderful people, voted yes to give me this extended leave, of course. But I don't know if they would have even had the thought to say, hey, we should be doing this for Brandy. Yeah. And so having a female as my board chair in that moment of my life, I think did make a huge difference.
And also somebody that advocated for you. You didn't have to go and ask for that. She
Yes.
saw the need.
Yes.
Exactly.
She
Yeah.
saw the gap. She took it on and she figured it out. I mean, and I think of how many women leaders do that every single
Yes.
day,
Yeah.
day in, day out. And I think that, when you look at, yes, these are the facts. We know these are the facts. But there's also that human aspect to all of it, right? We all know
Yeah.
we're probably, because we're women and we've gone through some experiences that are shared and dynamic. You think about those things when you have a young female leader who's coming to you, right?
Absolutely.
And told me, again, to your point, told me after the fact. Like,
Right.
I
Yeah.
think
It's
that
done.
they even thought, like, if we tell her before we vote, she may say, no.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
need this. That's too much. Oh, please, I
They
can
put
do
you
it.
first.
They put me first, and they said, name somebody that can keep the lights on for the next 6 months and go take care of that baby.
That is the most incredible story.
That's the kind of leader
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I want to be.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Shout out Sherlonda Buckman. We'll have to
Yeah.
tag her.
We'll need her as a guest.
Yes.
We will.
Yes.
Yolanda
Yes.
Buckman.
As a guest.
I don't know you.
I don't know you
but
either,
I
but
love
you're a
you.
hero now.
We all love you for doing
yes,
that.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that story with us. That is a beautiful story, the ending of it. And
Yeah.
that's inspiring.
Oh, thanks.
It
And my
is
daughter's
inspiring.
she's 7, she's in first grade. Has 7 surgeries under her belt so far, many, many more to come, but is happy and thriving and looks different, has facial differences that make her unique, but we are raising her with that self-confidence that we all need in these positions. So she's doing really well.
Oh, you
Inspires
could
all of
Yeah.
us.
Well, and I keep track of how your kiddos are growing up. Thank goodness for social media
Yeah.
in some ways. And I could say that about all of us and the kiddos that we're raising.
Yeah.
Empowered people empower other people.
Yes.
And I see that with our next generation. And so we have to look forward. We're going in that right trajectory, and hopefully that means only better days ahead.
Yeah, I struggled with that when the kids were young. Many of my friends either quit their jobs or
Yeah.
reduced down to part-time, and I stayed in the workforce during that time. At one point, had both kids in daycare full-time to the tune of $14,000 in 1 year,
Yep.
right? And often wondered, like, am I making the right choice, right? Am I doing this right? Is it worth it? And now I look at them at almost 21 and 17, and as hard as it was in those early days, right? They had every sickness known to man that you can get in a daycare center. But I look at them now and I see, particularly my daughter, right, that desire for post-secondary education and to pursue a career. And I hope, and for my son too, right, I hope that they saw that you can be a good mom and you can have a career, a successful career. But it came with some, it came with some struggles. It came with some pain points. It came with a lot of guilt at points. Like, I think I overcompensated in some ways with them. Like, I was like, well, I'm going to show you, world, that I can do it all, and burn myself out in the process because I could be a good mom and I could pursue a career. But I think about, how fortunate we've been, right, with your story here, that we've presented those opportunities. And then I think about women that are working 2 and 3 jobs and can't afford affordable childcare. And I think that's why our work is so important too, is how do we help shape career opportunities and post-secondary education and inspire that next generation that the world of work can be for them. And maybe, I hope it looks different for them than it did for me.
Yeah, and you talked about the businesses that we work with and helping to prepare them for how things look differently in the future and today. And our kids, too, through career awareness activities, we want them to see themselves in all the different opportunities that are out there in whatever industry that they choose to want to pursue.
All right. I'm going to punt it over to you because I'm in my feels over here on the mom train about my
Yes.
kid, and I don't do well with feelings. So I'm going to
I've
let
got
you
it.
do our 3 words, Carrie.
I've got you on the feelings. You know that. This is
Thanks,
where Kate and
love.
I always balance each other. I'm
Thanks.
always feelings first. So.
Yeah, and I'm always like, we're fine, I got it, everything. Now I'm all over here like, don't cry, don't cry, don't
I
cry,
got
don't
you.
cry, don't cry, don't cry.
Another thing you learn as woman leaders, sometimes you have to lean on other people, right?
True.
You lean on each other.
And it's okay to cry. I'm a
Totally.
crier.
Absolutely.
I'm a crier. My
I'm-
team knows I'm a crier.
Same.
At executive committee of my board on Friday, I got a little choked up in that meeting, right?
We're human.
Normalize
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I love,
normalize
see,
the
like,
emotions.
yeah, I always love and respect that about you. Like, I always, like, I tease Carrie, but also, like, love that, like, notice she's the one that gets the Kleenex to both, like, use and pass around. I don't, because
Yeah, we're
it's
over
rare
here
that I,
wiping with our hands.
but I also, like, I'm a person, I don't feel better when I cry. You know, the people that, like, cry it out and they're like, oh, God, I feel so much better after that.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't. I feel like a semi truck just ran over me and like I just need someone to like shovel me off the road. Like crying isn't restorative for
For you.
me. So I also just like I don't like to cry because then I'm actually just going to feel more like tired afterward. I'm a yeller. Like I do well screaming into pillows. That's
Good.
Whatever works for you.
solid,
That's for
but
sure.
when the tears come up and I like can't control them, I'm like, oh no, I will feel worse if these come out of my face.
So while we could listen and talk all day long, honestly, we certainly want to be respectful of your time and just start off by saying that we are so grateful that you spent time with us today, and hopefully you found this conversation to be lethargic, and to be, you know, in your feels if you wanted to be, and you got something out of it too. So what we always do at the end of the conversation is we would like you to take just a few seconds to think of your biggest takeaways and to summarize them in 3 words. And I know, Kate, you've mentioned before these can be either a 3-word phrase, it can be 3 different words. And while you're both working on those words, I do want to thank you again for your time today. I know personally how busy your schedules are, and for you to take this time to come and chat with Kate and I really means more to me than you probably will know. So thank you very much. To Jennifer Llewellyn, who is the manager of Workforce Development and Director of Oakland County, Michigan Works, also the Workforce Development Queen.
Thank you.
And to Brandy Johnson, the president of Michigan Community College Association, another queen with us today too. So thank you both for your time. So I'll start my 3 words today. Inspiring. You both have always been inspiring to me, but hearing and seeing you share your thoughts today really just left me with a lot of gratitude for you both and for being in my life and being leaders in the roles that you have, because I know the difference that you're making in people's lives every day. And then I also would just say gratitude and appreciation. Those are my other 2 words. So,
We love you, Carrie.
oh, I love you
Yes, so
too.
much.
Carrie fan club.
Sign me up.
Brandy, do you want to go ahead and go next?
Yeah, I guess I'll have a phrase, and it was sort of a thread throughout where we talked a lot about workforce development and higher ed, but it's that higher education pays. And I just want to say that out loud, you know, and especially to women, that, you know, all of us are speaking from a place of privilege, that we did rise to these positions where we can have these thoughtful conversations, but all of us pursued education beyond high school, and that those who stop their education at a high school diploma are almost guaranteed to live a life of poverty. And, you know, to your point earlier, don't have the luxury of just like binging reality television at night when they're working 3 jobs just to make the ends meet, like just to put food on the table. They are not in positions that offer structured salaried maternity leave, right? Because they are just, you know, picking up what they can do and like are working for tips, you know, as in the service industry. So like all go to college, get a degree or certificate beyond high school, technical education, applied associate degree, bachelor's degree, beyond. It really does allow individuals to actually pursue the life of prosperity that they want.
Ditto. That can my word be ditto, right? What she said.
One of your words, sure. Jen.
So I think my first word is just authenticity, right? And being our authentic selves as women leaders, and that raw, honest emotion, right, that we shared here today, and that it's okay to be an authentic leader. We're all human, and the barriers that we face in the workforce as women are often shared, right? Even with our male counterparts. And so, being our authentic selves, I think, is really, really important. Similar to Brandy's comment, I think the second word that came to mind was just around opportunity. Right? In Michigan right now, the opportunities are endless.
Yes.
I have never felt better about workforce or education in this state than I feel at this moment, right? You've got the Michigan Achievement Scholarship. You've got Michigan Reconnect.
Community College Guarantee.
The Community College Guarantee. The list goes on, right? In Oakland County, we have our Oakland 80 initiative, right? We've set a very bold goal to have 80% of our residents with a certificate, degree, or credential by 2030, and we're creeping up. We're at 69.87. That is hot off the press. You heard it here first, right? So we're at 61% just a few years ago. So we're making that progress. There is more opportunity than ever before. And I think what we're doing well is removing even those barriers, right? The county's invested $7 million in barrier removal funds. So if you can't afford the books, if you need your car fixed, if childcare is an issue, like, we can help. Leo is making investments in the Michigan work system on barrier removal. We want to break down any reason, any wall that is standing in the way. But the wall we can't break down is hope and drive and desire. And so I think if that's the opportunity is there, and if we can inspire the next person, if it's one person or three people to apply and just take one step, one class, right?
And we'll help you.
Yes, and we'll help you. You have a whole team of people that will help you.
That's right.
And then the third is just thankful, just so thankful for your friendship and for allowing me to be here, and thankful for my team, thankful for my family, thankful for those that have come before us. We were talking earlier about Edie Hatter-Williams, former CEO of Capital Area Michigan Works, who blazed a trail for several of us here, and just thankful to be sitting here and realizing the privilege that I have to be here, and thankful for your friendship.
Oh,
I love it. All right. So I was inspired by what you were saying, Brandy. The last couple of years have been a very exhausting, long, hard journey to support my kiddo, and since I'm all up in my mom feels today, my words are going to be relentless momming matters, and that, that's going to be my not too many words sign off. So relentless momming matters as we head off to another appointment from here. So it's, it's something we don't talk enough about that either, right? Like that the time burden, the emotional burden, when you decide to become a neurologist as one of your little Mount Everest style rabbit holes, because you have to learn absolutely everything, I'm sure, as you have, about everything your kid might be going through and all the things. It's exhausting, but it matters. That relentless momming matters.
and it's okay to put that as a priority in your life.
It is. It's hard.
It is, yeah.
It's okay to put it as a priority, and it's okay to juggle it
It is.
with other priorities when you have to do that too.
Like
Found-
aging parents.
Yeah,
Aging. Oh my gosh.
What do they call it?
That's
The
a
we do
sandwich
not.
right? The
Yeah.
sandwich generation
husband
where
is
our
going
our
through that.
parents
Yeah.
are aging. I've
Oh.
you know, my parents, thankfully, I'm glad are still with us, but they're getting older, and many of my staff are in this same window of life right now, where kids
so
are at home
hard.
and the parents are
Yep.
aging. And I think again, that's where, as leaders, right, what you experienced, that's a gift that we can give
Absolutely,
to
yeah.
others, is giving them that grace, giving them that flexibility, where we can, of course, being empathetic, not just to we talked a lot about women with children today, but we have women that work for us that don't have children, right? But maybe have aging parents, and just being aware and conscientious of that and prioritizing that and making sure that they feel seen and heard as they're supporting their family members and friends and partners is equally as important.
Couldn't agree more.
Scream about that one. I tell you what, the whole just rely on grandparents more to help with the kids, that shows you are not yet playing a caregiver role to your parents, right? Where rely on the grandparents more. We're caring for the grandparents in addition to caring for young children as
And
women
many of the
have
grandparents
kids later
some of
in
them are still working.
life.
When my
Yes.
kids were little, my parents were both still
did
in
too.
the workforce.
Yep,
And I don't resent them for that. I'm actually glad in a lot of ways, because they really did fill the traditional
Yes.
grandparent role. They weren't the caregivers. They were fun grandma and grandpa on the weekends, and still spoil the heck out of them at 17 and 21. So grateful for them. And again, another reason I'm here in this position.
All right. Love it. Y'all are awesome. So,
I knew this would be a good one.
this is a good one. All right. We got to wrap it up, though. My goodness. Can't believe it. So, with that,
On that note, I'm Carrie Rosingana. I'm the CEO of Capillary Michigan Works.
I'm Kate Snyder. I'm the CEO and founder at Piper & Gold Public Relations. And we can't wait to welcome a new group of guests for more amazing conversations in our Women in Workforce series. And a huge thank you for you joining us here on the couch and for you joining us tuning in.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
much fun. So much fun.